last 3 chapters. Chapter 17, locomotion and movement. Chapter 18, neural control and coordination. Chapter 19, chemical coordination and integration. Let me come to the first question. Read the statements A and B. Pick the correct option. Statement A, all kinds of movements seen in human are voluntary in nature. Statement B, all movements are not necessarily locomotions. There are 4 options. Option 1, both statement A and B are correct. Option 2, statement A is correct and B is incorrect. Option 3, both statements A and B are incorrect. Option 4, statement A is incorrect and B is correct. Now, let us look back into statement A and B. All kinds of movements seen in human are voluntary in nature. What do we mean by voluntary? They are controlled by the will of the individual. For example, I am speaking to you and the movement of the tongue is controlled by the will, whereas my heartbeat is not controlled by will. Thereby, statement A is incorrect because there are movements like speaking, locomotion, my movement of arms, legs, head, eyelash movement, they are voluntary, whereas the heartbeat, the flow of blood due to peristalsis of the wall of the blood vessels, the movement of the food contents through the esophagus, are involuntary in nature. Thereby, statement A is incorrect. Now, let us come to statement B. All movements are not necessarily locomotions. What do we mean by locomotion? Simple, displacement of an organism from one place to other. Thereby, on the basis of this, the statement A is incorrect, statement B is correct. So, option 1 is the answer. Now, we move to the next question. The question is, a student observes a permanent slide of muscle fibers and records the features like fasciculi, syncytium and non-branching pattern. The muscles observed are 4 options. Option 1 says smooth muscles, option 2 says skeletal muscles, option 3 says cardiac muscles, option 4 says visceral muscles. Let us look into the terms that is given in the question. It says a student observes a permanent slide of muscle fibers and records the features like fasciculi. Fasciculi means arrangement of muscle fibers in the form of bundle. The moment we talk about fasciculi, remember it should be either skeletal muscles or cardiac muscles. Thereby, option must be either 2 or 3 can be correct. Whereas option 1 is smooth muscles, where the muscles are arranged in the form of sheet. Smooth muscles are found in the wall of hollow visceral organs, and thereby they are also called as visceral muscles. So, option 1 and 4 are the same, which is not the answer. Let me come to the next term, syncytium. What is syncytium? If we come across many nuclei which are going to be irregularly distributed, we call that condition as syncytial. You have heard of the word syncytial for the first time when you have studied the general character of nematodes with respect to the epidermis. When we talk about the muscles, skeletal muscles are going to have many nuclei which are distributed towards the periphery. We call this feature as syncytium. So, thereby the answer must be skeletal muscles, that is option 2. Now, let me look into the third term to confirm it. Non-branching pattern. Please remember, cardiac muscle fibers are found in bundles. They are cylindrical in shape and highly branched, whereas skeletal muscle fibers are found in bundles, cylindrical in shape but unbranched. Thereby, cardiac muscle fiber is not an answer. Answer is skeletal muscle fibers. So, option 2 is the answer. Now, we move on to the next question. The question is, which of the following systems in the body jointly coordinate and integrate all the activities of the organs so that they function in a synchronized fashion? The moment we talk about control and coordination, we talk about two systems. One is neural and other one is chemical. Neural relates to nerve, chemical refers to endocrine system. Thereby, option 3 is the correct answer. Now, we move on to the next question. The somatic and automatic neural system together constitute 4 options. First one, central neural system. Option 2, peripheral neural system. Option 3, sympathetic neural system. Option 4, parasympathetic neural system. Remember, you have studied the components of neural system. We classify the neural system into 2 major or main components. They are central neural system and peripheral neural system. Central neural system include brain and spinal cord, whereas the nerves that are going to be derived from the brain and spinal cord constitute somatic neural system, which is a part of peripheral neural system. And second one is involuntary actions are controlled by autonomic neural system, and autonomic neural system is also part of peripheral neural system. So, thereby the answer is option 2. Peripheral neural system is further classified into somatic and autonomic neural system. That is the answer. Remember, somatic neural system include the motor neurons that are going to be derived from the brain and spinal cord. Also remember, there are 12 pairs of cranial nerves which are originated from the brain and 31 pairs of spinal nerves. Sympathetic, parasympathetic, the option 3 and 4 are part of autonomic neural system. They are associated with controlling involuntary actions of the body. Now, we move on to the next question. Hypothalamic neurohormone that inhibit the release of growth hormone from the pituitary is. Remember, hypothalamus is a part of the brain. It is a part of forebrain. Remember, hypothalamus and thalamus together constitute diencephalon. Hypothalamus secrete hormones, and these hormones are secreted by neural cells or nerve cells. Thereby, these hormones are called neurohormones. When you talk about neurohormones, these neurohormones are going to be classified as inhibitory hormones, releasing hormones, and the hormones that are going to be temporarily stored in the posterior pituitary, which is called as neurohypophysis. And here, when we look into the question, it says the neurohormones that inhibit the release of growth hormone. Growth hormone is also called trophic hormone, and the hormone of hypothalamus that inhibit the release of somatotrophic hormone must be somatostatin. So, option 4 is the answer. Now, let us look into other options also. Option 1, gonadotropin releasing hormone. This hormone promotes the release of gonadotropins. When you talk about gonadotropins, please remember there are two gonadotropins. First one is follicle stimulating hormone. The second one is luteinizing hormone. Also remember, follicle stimulating hormone is called gametokinetic factor because it promotes gametogenesis. Luteinizing hormone is also called interstitial cell stimulating hormone. Actually, the term interstitial cell stimulating hormone is used in case of male as it is going to promote the interstitial cells, which are also called Leydig cells of the testes, to secrete testosterone, the male sex hormone. Luteinizing hormone in females is called ovulatory hormone. The surge of luteinizing hormone is seen at the time of ovulation. Oxytocin is a very interesting hormone. Oxytocin is going to cause contraction of smooth muscle fibers of uterus. It also helps in ejection of milk in lactating breast. Because of this, oxytocin is called labor hormone or birth hormone or labor inducing or birth inducing hormone. Oxytocin is also called milk ejection hormone. Remember, prolactin help in milk secretion, oxytocin help in milk ejection. Now, we move on to the next question. The question is, the H zone of myofibril is. Here we are referring to skeletal muscles. Remember, skeletal muscles are striated muscle fibers. Striations also occur in cardiac muscle fibers, but they are quite faint. When you talk about these striations, we are going to classify them as dark bands and light bands. Dark bands are also called A bands or anisotropic bands. Light bands are called I bands or isotropic bands. And myofibrils are the contractile elements that are found in the muscle fibers. Now, with this basic, we look into the options to find what is the answer for the question. Option 1, the portion of myofibril between two Z lines. Remember, Z line is present in the center of light band or I band, and entire myofibril representing the region from one Z line of the light band to the next Z line of the light band is nothing but sarcomere. Sarcomere you have defined as the structural and functional unit of muscle fiber or myofibril. Now we come to option 2. The elastic fibers present in the center of I band, that is nothing but Z line. So, option 1 is not an answer, option 2 is not an answer. Now, let us come to option 3. The thin fibrous membrane that holds the thick filament in the A band. The thin fibrous element that is present in the center of the dark band or A band is called M line. So, even option 3 is also not an answer. Now, we move on to option 4. The central part of the thick filament not overlapped by thin filament seen in resting state of myofibril. That is the answer. H zone is the one which is represented only by the thick myofilament. And also remember, when contraction occur, H zone keep on decreasing. Now we move on to the next question. The actin myofilaments of skeletal muscle fiber is composed of. Remember, we have classified the myofilament into two kinds, actin myofilaments and myosin myofilaments. Actin myofilaments are also called thin myofilaments. Myosin myofilaments are called thick myofilaments. And with this, we look into what actin myofilament of skeletal muscle fiber is composed of. Option 1 says actin and myosin protein. That is wrong, because myosin protein is a component of thick myofilament. So option 2 says only actin protein. Remember, actin myofilament is not just made up of actin protein. Actin protein is a very important component, of course. Option 3 says actin, tropomyosin and troponin protein. Yes, this is the correct option. So remember, actin myofilament is made up of actin protein, tropomyosin protein and troponin protein. Actin and tropomyosin are found in the form of helical strands, whereas troponin protein is going to be found, and it is made up of three subunits: troponin I, troponin C, troponin T. Troponin I is going to inhibit the interaction of actin with myosin in the absence of calcium ions. Troponin C is the site for calcium ion to attach. Remember, calcium ion is a must for contraction to be achieved. Troponin T is the binding site for tropomyosin. So option 3 is the answer. We move on to the next question now. At resting potential, the outer surface of axonal membrane is positive and the inner surface is negative. The reason could be, remember, resting potential means the neuron is in polarized state or the muscle fiber is in polarized state. Normally, the term here we are using for nerve cell or neuron. Let us look into the option. Presence of positively charged ion outside and negatively charged proteins inside. Remember, sodium ions and potassium ions are the one when we talk about the action potential or resting potential we describe. Outside is going to be positive in a resting potential because of high number of positively charged sodium ions, whereas inside is net negative. It carries positively charged potassium ions. In addition to this, it also has negatively charged proteins also. So option 1 says presence of positively charged ions outside, negatively charged proteins inside. That cannot be answered because potassium ions which are positively charged also occur in the inside. Let us come to option 2. Active transport of ions by sodium potassium pump, which pumps sodium and potassium outside and chloride inside. Again, this is wrong. Remember, sodium potassium pump is an active transport which is going to help in pumping the sodium ions outside, potassium ion inside, to maintain resting potential, to maintain the neuron at a polarized state. So option 2 is also wrong. Let us come to option 3. Active transport of ions by sodium potassium pump, which pumps sodium outside and potassium inside in the ratio of 3:2. Yes, this is the correct answer. Let us just discuss this also. Remember, the carrier protein help in pumping the sodium ion to outside. The same protein is going to pump the potassium ions inside, and the sodium ion that are going to be taken out from inside is going to be in the ratio of 3 to potassium ions 2. So, because of this, more of positively charged sodium ions are going to be pumped out and less of potassium ions are pumped in. This is going to make outside net positive and inside net negative. So, option 3 is correct. Now, let us move on to the next question. Read the statement A and B and choose the correct option. Statement A, releasing and inhibiting hormones of hypothalamus are secreted by neurons. Statement B, the hormones reach the pituitary gland directly through nerve endings. Now, let us look into the statement A. It says releasing and inhibiting hormones of hypothalamus are secreted by neurons. Remember, hypothalamus is a part of the brain. Remember, I told you it is a part of diencephalon of the forebrain. And it is the nerve cells which are going to secrete the hormones, thereby they are neurohormones. It says the releasing and inhibiting hormones of hypothalamus are secreted by neurons, thereby statement A is correct. Let us come to statement B. The hormones reach the pituitary gland directly through nerve endings. Remember, I told you earlier, the pituitary gland, which is technically called hypophysis, is divisible or differentiated into two parts on the basis of origin. Adenohypophysis, neurohypophysis. Adenohypophysis hormones are going to be brought from hypothalamus through the blood. It is brought through hypophyseal portal vein, whereas the neurohormones of posterior pituitary are brought through the nerves or neurons. And here it is about releasing and inhibiting hormones. Releasing and inhibiting hormones are associated with adenohypophysis, and thereby the statement A is correct and B is wrong. So, when you look into the option 3 says statement A is correct and statement B is wrong. So, option 3 is correct. Now, when we talk about the hormones, carefully follow, I told you about hypophyseal portal vein brings the hormones releasing factors and inhibiting factors from hypothalamus into the adenohypophysis that stimulate or inhibit the release of hormones of adenohypophysis. What is this portal system? When we talk about circulatory system, you have heard of the term like arterial system, venous system, and here we have portal system. The blood vessels that convey the blood from the heart to the body are going to be arteries. Arteries are thick walled blood vessels and they are the one which have ability to withstand higher pressure, which is caused due to pumping of the blood by the heart chambers. Veins bring the blood to the heart. Veins are going to be exposed to minimum blood pressure, and thereby veins are thin walled blood vessels. Another thing is the arteries which take the blood from the heart, they end with capillaries in the body tissues. The veins start with capillaries and finally open into the heart. There are blood vessels which are going to start with capillaries, end with capillaries, and they are not in direct contact with the heart, and that is portal system. When we talk about portal system, we talk about hepatic portal system, renal portal system, hypophyseal portal system. Hepatic portal system is present in mammals, so also human. Hypophyseal portal system is present, whereas renal portal system is absent in mammals and humans. Now we come to the next question. The chemical transmitter substance that generate an action potential in the sarcolemma is. So it is related to muscle fiber. What is that chemical transmitter that is going to be released from the axon? So let us look into the option. Dopamine at motor plate end, which is motor end plate. Acetylcholine at motor end plate, dopamine in the basal ganglia, acetylcholine in cerebral cortex. So we know that the neuromuscular junction are also called motor end plate. Thereby either option 1 or option 2 must be the answer. And when you come to the neurotransmitter substance, which is also called chemical transmitter substance, that is released from axon terminal, it is acetylcholine. So option 2 is the answer. At the same time, I like to tell you little more. Acetylcholine is also secreted by the neurons of cortical and subcortical region of the cerebrum. Acetylcholine is also called memory chemical. Acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter substance. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter substance. Dopamine is secreted by some of the parts in the cerebrum, especially basal ganglia. Deficiency of dopamine due to damage of basal ganglia or substantia nigra is the cause for paralysis agitans, which is also called Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's disease is commonly referred to as shaking disease because the person is going to have the symptoms like tremors. So now you know the answer is acetylcholine at motor end plate.